This is Jeff Mucci, RCR Wireless News. We're in Palo Alto today meeting with Amir Zoufonoun, who is CEO of Exalt Communications. Amir, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You've been around for 5 years, right? And you made way into all the Tier 1 providers in the U.S. What's been the secret to your success?
Well, we've been in this business for a long time as a group. Yeah. So we've, I've been in this business over 30 years, and the group itself, if you look at the individuals, they all have anywhere from 20 to 30 years of experience in microwave backhaul. We've been in the Valley for as long, at least, as a team. We've worked together for a long time. The core team has worked together. We've brought to market multiple generations of product that we sold to the carriers. So we had a legacy already there, and so we had the goodwill, and we were able to leverage that very quickly. Mm-hmm. So when we put our products together and we brought them to market, we had instant traction with the carriers and enterprises in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things you mentioned earlier was the fact that you build all your subsystems yourself. Can you tell us a little bit more about that strategy?
Sure. If you look at a typical systems house, systems vendor, typically they're good at certain parts of the system, and those are the core competency sections of the system. And then there are other things that they purchase from outside, subsystems that they purchase, or technologies that they purchase, mm-hmm. or chipsets, for instance. We decided from the outset that we were going to design everything in-house for two reasons. First of all, we would have full control over the technology. Since the market was shifting in our minds at the time, it wasn't a very popular idea at the time, but we thought that the market is going through a very rapid shift. In order to keep up with the market, we thought that it's very important that we had full control over the technology. So we brought expertise into our company in all the different areas so that we could build and integrate everything at the lowest level, at the gate level. Mm-hmm. And as customers' demands changed, requirements changed, we would be able to very rapidly bring products to market. That's one advantage. The other one is the margin side of it, is that we don't pay margin for the subsystems. And so we can either pass on the savings to our customers, or we can pour it back into more development, research and development.
Did you see 5 years ago that we would move to an all-IP network as rapidly as we have?
Yes. Actually, again, at the time, what got us very excited was the fact that we saw that. We saw this happening for the first time on the backhaul side, mm-hmm. and many other people didn't, including the investment community. This was not a very popular idea. In fact, we had a pretty hard time at the very beginning when we started going up and down Sand Hill Road, convincing VCs that this was a great investment opportunity. And a couple years later, Vodafone came out and said our number one headache is backhaul. Yep. And then others came out and said the same thing. So now it's a very popular idea, and the transition from TDM to IP was happening very rapidly, driving that, mm-hmm. especially with the advent of 3G and 4G technologies coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been around the industry for almost 15 years, both on the operating side, wireless and wireline, but I haven't heard much about Exalt. Almost like you're one of the best kept secrets I've heard of this week. Do you purposely keep a low profile?
We did. At the very beginning, we were completely stealth. We didn't even have a website. In fact, a year into selling radios to our customers, our salespeople were putting a lot of pressure on me and us as management team, saying that as we now go outside of our circle of influence, people are saying, "Are you a garage operation? What are you? I mean, if you don't have a website, you don't exist, basically." So we were kind of pressured into putting a website together. One of the reasons for that was that we started with the license-free bands, because with the license-free bands, we first of all had the legacy from our previous lives. We knew a lot about it, and we had a lot of expertise in that area. It was also a way to get in very rapidly into networks. License-free bands are purchased in a very rapid manner, kind of a quick decision that's made. A cell site needs to come up tomorrow. You can use a license-free band. 2.4 and 5.8. 5 gigahertz, I should say. 5.2 to 5.8, the tri-band. Mm-hmm. And so it was a market entry strategy for us. But the platform was built to go into every band all the way up to 40 and beyond, 40 gigahertz and beyond. Mm-hmm. And today, in fact, we offer products from 2 gigahertz all the way to 40 gigahertz based on the same exact platform.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in a way stealth at the beginning for a number of reasons, including what I just said. We gained a lot more runway against competition. You know, they basically decided that Exalt is not a threat. When they saw that we were in this license-free band, we're not really a threat. However, the products were built from day one to go into any band in the world.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. What % of your revenue is generated in North America versus international?
Very good question. So we decided purposefully to stay very much U.S. focused in the beginning phases of our development, because we are a venture-backed company and small company, and we wanted to preserve cash, wanted to stay close to home,
Sure.
Build a base, and then go outside. So last year, for the first time, we started going outside of U.S. We went into Southeast Asia, Philippines, and Malaysia and Thailand and other places. And now we're moving up north in Asia. Also, we're now in Middle East and Africa, mm-hmm. and as well moving up north into Europe, Eastern Europe, and Western Europe.
Okay. How does your distribution strategy differ domestically versus internationally?
Domestically, we have basically two ways that we go to market. With the carriers and what we call self-maintained end users, the larger users of microwave, we have a direct relationship. With the smaller enterprises, small to medium enterprise, we go through a two-tier distribution model. Typically, these are networking bars that have wireless background or microwave background, generally speaking. And so we partner with them, and they help us take our products to customers that way. A little bit less touch than the direct model. Internationally, it varies from country to country. Typically, it's with a local partner. In most cases. However, again, if you have a large, for instance, we had a large deal in the Philippines, and we had a pseudo direct relationship. In other words, we were in the account as well as a local partner for support and after sales services.
Mm-hmm. As you look forward in the microwave backhaul space, some might argue that it's beginning to be commoditized. What are some of the innovations that you see occurring so that backhaul providers can differentiate themselves in the future?
Yeah, quite a bit on the technology front. We're going to see a movement toward picocells, microcells and picocells. Mm-hmm. We're going to see a lot of cell splitting around the world. So wherever you have a cell currently today, you can imagine 10 to 100 more effectively base stations or points of spraying the bandwidth to people, just due to laws of physics. And as that happens, a lot of innovation needs to happen on the microwave and backhaul front, because you're limited in terms of spectrum. You want to pump as much bandwidth as possible to the user or to the cell site. And you cannot be sloppy. In the past, microwave in a way has been very sloppy.
Right.
We've had very low-grade modulation, low-level modulation. You've had FSK radios and BPSK, QPSK kind of radios. Now we're going to see very high QAM kind of radios, very sophisticated digital signal processing, self-provisioning, and very easy to provision radios, so that basically a cable technician type of a technician can install these radios in the field. We haven't had that in microwave before. You've needed a lot of sophisticated people to basically put these things on towers and turn them up and provision them. You're going to see a lot of innovation go into plug and play, into miniaturization, because there are a lot of city ordinances against having big boxes hanging on sides of buildings and light posts and whatnot. So they're going to have to shrink. So a lot of technology has to, again, go into that as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of room for innovation, actually, in this space, even though it is commoditizing. You're right.
Have you started embedding Wi-Fi onto the back end of your radio set, so it's a plug-and-play backhaul and Wi-Fi network?
Yeah, we haven't done that, and we don't really see a reason to do that. Wi-Fi has commoditized quite a bit, as you know, and it continues to commoditize. And with Ethernet connectivity, there's really no reason. We don't really see a reason for embedding that piece into our systems. Okay. It's a very simple connection on the network side, on the switch side. Okay. Effectively, we have multi ports on every product, and you can plug in any Ethernet device effectively on these radios.
You've got some great venture capital partners. Can you tell us who they are and what role they played in helping you develop this company?
Sure. Fuse Capital, which was Com Ventures, just changed their name. They were the first investor in the company, the first believer in the company. They were instrumental in that, as I said, it wasn't a very popular idea to invest in layer one companies, let alone microwave companies back when. But they did, and we partnered, and it's been just fantastic partnership, very, very supportive. And then Trinity Ventures as well as part of our round one, these two. And then we had a second round and then a third round, and we brought on board Interwest. Trinity Ventures, Interwest, and now Fuse Capital, the three partners.
Was this your first time as a chairman CEO of a venture capital-backed company?
Yes. The previous company, Western Multiplex, I was president and COO of the company, and we had a LBO fund from New York. That was back in. This was their first technology deal, and that was a different dynamic. Here we have a Silicon Valley, base effectively, both from a investment side and the company. Very much Silicon Valley based.
That's great.
All the way around.
Well, Amir, is there anything else you'd like our readers to know about Exalt?
Just that we're really pumped up and excited about this space. We think there's a long life ahead of us here in this market. There's going to be quite a bit of activity, and we'll be participating in a big way.
Well, we look forward to following you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.